Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 350 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy conducted an unannounced visit to the UK, reports Interfax Ukraine. This is the second foreign visit of Zelenskyy after the US since the start of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. He met Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, His Majesty the King Charles III, gave a speech to the parliament and visited Ukrainian servicemen who undergo training in the UK. At the beginning of the visit, the President of Ukraine said that he's in London to personally thank the British people for their support and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak for his leadership. Following a meeting with King Charles III, Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that it was an honor for him to be the first president of Ukraine whom the British monarch honored with his audience. Zelenskyy also expressed gratitude to His Majesty for the warm welcome and support of Ukrainian citizens who have found shelter from the war in the UK. Zelenskyy and Sunak visited a military training camp in Dorset to meet Ukrainian troops being trained by the British Army. They have seen a Challenger 2 tank simulator being used for training purposes. The British Prime Minister announced that the UK will begin training Ukrainian Marines as well as fighter pilots, reports European Pravda. Overall, the UK plans to train about 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers this year. The President of Ukraine added that countries agreed on the prospect of supply of long-range weapons to Ukraine. Rishi Sunak said that British Challenger 2 tanks will be deployed on the battlefield in Ukraine already in March. At the same time, answering the question of whether Kyiv can receive combat aircraft from London, the head of the British government said that everything is possible when we are talking about helping the Ukrainian military. Earlier, the Wall Street Journal reported that London is considering the option of supplying British fighters to Ukraine. According to the source in the British government, the Prime Minister instructed the Minister of Defense to find out whether Britain can supply fighter jets. But the publication stressed that the authorities have not yet made a decision regarding possible deliveries of fighters and that the first thing to do is to train Ukrainian pilots to use them. The media source clarified that the learning process will begin in the spring and will take time. When speaking at the parliament, Volodymyr Zelenskyy called for creation of a coalition to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles. According to him, it will help to force evil to retreat from Ukraine by destroying its shelters deep in the occupied territories. The President of Ukraine said that the UK is going together with Ukraine to victory over the idea of war. Quote, "We know that freedom will win, we know that Russia will lose, we know that victory will change the world. And it will be a change that the world has long needed. The United Kingdom is marching with us to the most important victory of our lives. It will be a victory over the very idea of war." Unquote. Zelenskyy believes that after achieving such a joint victory, any aggressor will know what awaits him if he violates the international order. The president called on the United Kingdom to create an aviation coalition in support of Ukraine. He said that in the UK, the king is an Air Force pilot, and in Ukraine today, every pilot is a king. Because there are so few of them, they are so precious. During his speech, the Ukrainian president also presented a gift to the Speaker of the Parliament, namely the helmet of a Ukrainian pilot with the inscription, "We have freedom, give us wings to protect it." During the visit, the Ukrainian president stated that the Russians never stopped their offensive, so the international community must make them wait for the Ukrainian counter-offensive to start, reports Ukrainska Pravda. Zelenskyy also explained why Ukrainian forces are not withdrawing from the city of Bakhmut. He stated that if it happened, the occupiers would want to advance further, and the question would be what city they would choose to besiege next. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have signed the UK-Ukraine Declaration of Unity, so-called London Declaration, reports LBUA. The declaration states that the UK remains committed to supporting Ukraine, providing aid to help restore Ukraine's energy grid and other civilian infrastructure, and to continue sanctions against Russia, including pursuing all lawful routes to ensure that frozen or immobilized Russian assets are made available in support of Ukraine's reconstruction. The UK stressed that it is working with Ukraine to help develop the country's long-term force structures and capabilities. The UK stressed that it welcomes President Zelenskyy's peace formula and is prepared to help Ukraine implement its principles. It was also announced that the UK will host the Ukraine Recovery Conference in London on 21st-22nd June 2023. As our format is designed to give you only the most important news, we feel that on some topics more in-depth discussion is needed, and that is exactly what we are doing. In a new segment called Long Talk, we discuss different topics in and around Ukraine with invited guests, from experts to eyewitnesses and ordinary Ukrainians who lived through the war. Our first episode on Ukraine's war economy is already out. Be sure to check it out wherever you listen to our podcast. From London, Zelenskyy flew to Paris, where he met French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, reports Ukrainska Pravda. During the meeting, Macron said that Ukraine can count on France to build peace together, a peace that will be fair to Ukraine, its people, its courage, and that will allow us to build a space of security for everyone. The French president also awarded Volodymyr Zelenskyy with the Legion of Honor, the highest French order of merit. On Thursday, Zelenskyy will take part in the EU summit in Brussels, reports European Pravda. Media reported that in the morning, the Ukrainian president will address the European Parliament plenary during a short one-hour session. He will later attend the EU summit. Zelenskyy said that he will discuss the supply of long-range missiles to Ukraine with European Union leaders. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. In gratitude for your help, we will give you access to a series of exclusive episodes on wartime life in Ukraine. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.